Like Christians should not have wealth, or you should not have wealth, or that rich people are bad. When I was growing up, I had a friend whose parents owned a very successful plumbing company, and I judged them because they had a house cleaner, and I was like, rich people with a house cleaner, and for years I judged them as like the rich people who were too lazy to clean their house. And it wasn't until years later that I realized they weren't so rich they could afford to hire a house cleaner. They were rich because they hired a house cleaner, because they had a different mindset. When I shifted my mind into that, I was like, oh, what if I hired people to do the lower dollar per hour tasks so I could focus on higher? All of a sudden, my income went up. I'm like, oh, that was an internal limitation, not an external one.
And my wife was an orphan. She grew up in a foster home from the age of 8 to 18. She had nothing, and her clothes was Salvation Army.
Wow. Yeah.
And so we had that in the mix of our marriage and of our relationship. And I remember even that same conversation at one point where she would say, why won't you fix the stuff around the house? Or why won't you mow the lawn? Or what? So I used to, but there's several factors here. One is if I mow the lawn, I'm taking that hour to do something that if I was doing something else, I would be able to pay for 100 people to mow the lawn.
Yes.
Secondly, if I'm mowing the lawn, I'm taking a job from someone who their best job right now is mowing a lawn. Yeah. Now, I'll give you an example. This week, we're living in a home and didn't have a very big yard, but I paid someone from El Salvador, because I'm from El Salvador, and I want to help people who came from my background. Yeah. And he was mowing my lawn. One day I walked outside. He was crying. So what's going on? He said, someone just came and stole my lawnmower and my edger. And I said, I'm so sorry. And he goes, and I just replaced them. They were stolen last month.
Oh, no.
So I said, okay, we're going into business together today.
Yeah.
And I funded his company, and then I taught him how to scale his company. And then the first day he came back to mow my lawn, he said, no, don't pay me. I said, no, you're my business partner. You can't afford not to be paid. No freebies, and not even for me, not for anyone, And I remember 3 years later, he dropped by the house. He wasn't mowing lawns anymore. He bought a house, and he had all these employees that were mowing lawns. And when we moved to a bigger house with a bigger yard, he goes, oh, I can't do that. I can't manage that. The yard's too big. And that's when I'm going, no, you have to learn how to scale. Yeah. So you're going to scale with us as we scale. And I love that. And I think if we just thought in terms of everything that you don't have to do, that someone else does have to do because that's how they bring food home. Yep. It's actually an incredibly ethical thing to do, to employ people. So my wife always employs people. I mean, there are times we have, 15, 20 people she's paying. Yeah. And because one, she becomes everybody's friend. Yeah. And they're all in our home and they're eating with us and they become a part of our lives. And for me, one day we were walking down the street and there were these two construction workers, clearly immigrants, with a paper bag, eating a sandwich out of it. And I said, you know how people say, there by the grace of God go I? Yep. And I said, that's not my statement. That was me. Yeah. I was the guy working construction. I was the guy eating my lunch out of a paper bag. I was the immigrant who was working the hard physical labor job. That was me. And now we're walking to our house, and it's different. But because that happened for me, not only do I know it can happen for others, but I wanted to.
Yeah, that's powerful. Yeah, I've had a mindset coach for 6-7 years now. Every other week we meet together, and people ask me all the time, like, what do we talk about? Why do I do it? And I'm always like, I don't know. But it's working, right? Like some of the limitations I've had, things like I don't deserve to be wealthy. I don't deserve. When I started working with them, I was in a tiny little 800 square foot house, like in like the rainiest part of the country, up in Washington State, and like that's where I thought I deserved to be, right? And now, like I've got obviously a little bit different life now, but we just keep breaking through these limitations, and all of a sudden I'm able to grow. And if you look at the business world, I see like this is a framework I'm playing with right now, but. There's like 4 things that really drive a business to grow. If you think of a table, I like the idea of a table, right? 4 legs of a table. And if you wanted to lift the whole table up, your business to go, you got 4 legs. And the 4 legs, and I'm gonna give them all an M because I'm trying to be a pastor and put a framework to this, right? You got money, so the company makes money, or it's profitable, you raise money, whatever. The money side of the business. You have the marketing for leads, how do you get people, business, whatever. And then you have the management, all the internal, external management to get to go. But like you can do those 3 just fine, but your table still tips over if you don't have the 4th, which is mindset. Like if you don't have the right way to think about it, your business cannot elevate and cannot grow. So like just the idea of hiring somebody to push you on the mental side of your business is one of the greatest investments